Indigenous Aboriginality history of the Muskogee Creek Nation in America. Muskogee built earthen pyramids as part of their spirituality, and their history is that they had tribes within tribes, and these people spoke many languages and had their own government and towns. These tribes created confederacies. They had tribal towns. Their organization of civilization proves that they had infrastructure and a willingness to govern themselves. Geographically, the Lower Creeks were more influenced into the assimilation with the Europeans. The Muskogee Creeks and other civilized tribes faced off their land due to Indian Removal Act, and a treaty was signed to enforce the removal. The Muskogee Creek had treaties with the United States. This is one of them, which is the Treaty of 1790, and this one was mainly about the peace, friendship, and the boundaries that were set between them and the newly formed United States. After their removal from their original lands, the Muskogees settled along rivers and faced Civil War challenges and adopted a constitution. The Reorganization Act of 1934 was something that revitalized the Muskogees' self-governance, which led to changes within their community and to also reaffirm their tribal sovereignty. The Dawes Commission and allotment of the late 1800s, the Dawes Commission negotiated Muskogee land allotment, and the Curtis Act of 1898 mandated tribal government dismantling and land allotment. The Dawes allotted the Muskogee land in the late 1800s, and Harjo was a Creek leader, very fierce, that resisted the United States policies. Muskogee Nation, sovereignty reaffirmed and cultural revival. So they had quite a bit of change throughout the last 50, 60 odd years. In the 70s to the 90s, the Muskogee revitalized themselves, and this was to enforce and further support their sovereignty. And in the 90s, they had a cultural heritage which was revived. When it comes to their governmental structure within the Muskogee Creek Nation, it's very well structured. They have 3 branches which are led by chiefs and administrators, and their system ensures separation of powers, similar to the United States. Since they were here on the lands before the United States was formed, one may conclude that maybe the United States, had a similar governmental structure from, the civilizations that were here prior to them coming to North America. So we have the executive, legislative, and judicial, and very similar to any other executive, legislative, and judicial branch of any other type of government. The executive branch, once again, by the principal chief, another chief, second chief, and chief of overseeing daily operations. The legislative branch has their national council. Judicial branch of the Muskogee Creek Nation, District Court, Supreme Court. Their legal framework covers their governance and community life, and it is organized into titles such as the agriculture and judiciary. So it's very similar to what the United States has. Similar structure as well. One thing that, of course, that would very, very differently would be the way in which they punish people for doing certain things, certain crimes. And their amendments is updated through the National Council Acts to reflect changes and additions. They also deal with family relations. are the 16 members of their legislative council, and this is current as of this year. So this is Muskogee Creek National Council. They have, as you can see, it's a decent mixture of men and women. Looks like for every male, there's a female, which is good because that shows that they can have different viewpoints of different things, not majority male, not nor majority female. Have some information such as the Title 26 of Judicial Branch of Courts with the tribal courts. The Muskogee Creek Constitution, like I was saying earlier, executive, legislative, and judiciary. Just as most tribal nations, their citizenship is usually based on some type of blood quantum or family ancestral lineage, and which all still has to be approved by their citizenship board. Their democratic elections with voting rights and term limits for officials. And most important thing they would emphasize on, as most tribes, are their sovereignty. So therefore, they are able to preserve the traditional history and customs and managing those tribal affairs independently. And furthermore, to support their independence and sovereignty, the fact that they've had this court system for quite some time, it shows that the tribe still practices their inherent rights to self-government, which makes them, because they are literally a nation within a nation. Same thing about the jurisdiction. They have different members, they have different people that make this up. The treaty rights that they have with the United States will affirm their status of a nation within a nation, and the fact that they're recognized lets us know that the Muskogee Creek Nation is a nation that is one that is here to stay, despite the hardships they've had with the United States over the last several hundred years. Here are some Supreme Court justices of the Muskogee Creek Nation. We have the chief, which is Richard LeBlance, vice chief Amos McNack, and we also have the justices Andrew Adams III, Monty Deere, Leah Harjo Ware, Kathleen Supernall, and George Thompson Jr. Okay, the Muskogee Bar, according to the website, they have some officers, Carla Stennett, and Vice President Clinton Wilson, Secretary Treasurer James Saunders, and they have a membership application and the renewal fees. Some information, the information regarding their district court rules. These rules are specifically for their nation, although at other times they might also be applied to other people that have been brought within their jurisdiction. It's very still similar to your county or state courts, such as the different amendments that they make. They have their writ of habeas corpus. They have the courtroom decorum conduct, and the conduct is just very similar to any courtroom. You come in and you govern yourself accordingly, respectfully, with with appropriate attire, appropriate language and speech, and showing no disrespect to anyone on the court, especially the judge. And just like any other court, they have their limitations on electronic use within the courtrooms or certain places within their courts. And very well structured court. They have a very well structured court.